On, Gus. There it is. Now
All
it's
right.
working. Well, I guess we're starting over. That was a really good introduction. Hit it, Pat.
After the technical difficulties, welcome back to Georgia Peachcast, coming to you from Cherokee County, Georgia. This is Pat.
And this is Gregg.
Okay.
And this is Amateur Hour.
Yeah. We have as a guest tonight Barry Wilfert, who is running for the seat from Congressional District 11, which was being vacated or because Loudermilk is not running. So now we've got to seek the re-election in November. And I had just written a letter that I was going to read just before Barry comes on. After we've run through about a few minutes of it, let me read this and give Barry a chance to relax after telling us all about himself. Last night I listened to an interview of Secretary of Defense Pete
Hegseth.
Thank you. On 60 Minutes, regarding the reason for going to war with Iran. My first thought was, didn't Trump campaign on not taking us into any foreign war? Then second thought, wasn't both him and Hegseth saying last week that it wasn't a war, so that they wouldn't have to justify and go to Congress to get the authorization? And here Hegseth is saying war all over the interview. Given all of that, according to Hegseth, the reason we went to war was we knew that Israel was going to attack Iran, and Iran would retaliate with and get involved with all other countries in the region. Not that Iran was still working on nuclear weapons. First, most experts say that would probably take 10 years before they would have a bomb and the missiles to carry. So we had at least 5 or more years to negotiate a no nuclear agreement. Think about that. We are at war because Israel,
Netanyahu.
Thank you, Netanyahu, who has wanted to go to war with Iran forever, has drawn us into war because he needed more firepower. Damn the cost of American lives, money, and civilian casualties in the region. 7 U.S. soldiers dead, 18 critically wounded, 123 civilians deaths, including 175 school children, many more injured, and 87 Iranian sailors watched die, and 32 left to be rescued by other countries after their unarmed ship as a military boat show was torpedoed by our submarine. It looks like some people are playing a war game on their computer, but it's real. And 53 senators, 52 Republicans, and 1 Democrat voted to keep going.
$2 billion a day. Once again, people, that's $2 billion a day that should be being spent on health care and elder care and better schools. And I could go on and on.
Yeah. All right. We said our piece.
We got more pieces to say, though.
Bring in our guest. Barry, okay. Again, a little bit about you, a little bit your background.
Round 2.
Right. It's great to be back again. So I like many people in this district and in Atlanta, I'm not an original Georgian. I'm a transplant from New York. Moved down here 35 years ago. Spent the last 34 years living in Cobb County. I live in Marietta. I work here. I own my home here. I've raised my children here, and I run a small business here, pay my taxes, and one day want to retire here. So I was very content doing my work and staying in my focus in my field, which I'm a real estate agent, until last year when, as an agent who is self-employed, self-insured, and who gets his health insurance through the Affordable Care Act, read about the tax bill that was passed and the impact on the insurance subsidies. So that was what kind of started getting me interested in what was going on politically and what things were going to start looking like in Trump's second term. So that took me to start to do more research on the tax bill, and then I started to take a look The 11th district is only in its current incarnation for about the last 2 to 3 years. It was recently redrawn. For most of my life here in this area, I've been in the 6th district, briefly in the 7th, and now in the 11th. So I didn't even know at the time who my congressman was. Looked him up, said, okay, maybe this guy's fighting the good fight for me. Turned out he wasn't. Turned out he wasn't fighting the fight for anybody. And decided to do some more research, and slowly but surely I decided to get into this race back in November. Launched the campaign November 14th. We're roughly 5 months into it. Qualified last week, on my way to the primary, and ready to head on to the general, and then up to DC in January.
Excellent.
There you go.
So,
Yeah. So
you, as the thing that really, people, I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about.
Yeah.
And it might be because my fingers are more into the education world than they are in the business world, but that ACA component is just going to kill people.
yeah. So,
Like literally kill people.
no, I mean, the
Not just financially.
health insurance, our whole healthcare industry is a mess here. As we mentioned earlier, we spend.
That was the ghost episode.
Right. We spoke earlier before the record button was hit. But we spend more per capita on healthcare than any other country for some of the worst outcomes that we have. We know we have the top medical schools. We know we have top doctors. We have top facilities. We have top science. What we don't have is a top system to deliver that to all people. We don't have preventive care. We don't have good maternal care. We don't have good ability for people to get the kind of healthcare and support they need before these chronic illnesses come up, because it's too unaffordable.
Yeah.
And when you're young and you think you're invincible, you don't need it. And one of the things that isn't being discussed that I think is a big mistake.
Wait. When I was young, I didn't think I was invincible.
Okay.
I knew I was invincible.
Okay, you knew you were invincible. I'll introduce you to my son.
Even when I fell off my mountain bike, I
Right.
knew I was invincible.
Well, you can heal faster.
That's right. That's why I thought I was.
One of the components of the ACA and its original concept, and people do not talk about this, is that there was a mandatory requirement that everybody be on it, or you paid a penalty, a tax,
Right.
a withdrawal fee, however, depending on which side of the aisle you're on, how you want to market the term.
Right.
But the point is that if everybody was covered, some might call that, I don't know, universal health care,
Yeah.
then the risk pool was spread over tens of millions of people, which is what would make the whole plan affordable.
Yeah. So it's about the pool.
Right. So that was in 2011, okay,
Right. Yeah.
when that came out. And it wasn't much after that the Republican Congress got rid of the mandatory requirement.
Yep. I remember
Which
that too.
immediately changed the risk pool and changed the economics of this system.
Yep.
So as somebody who's been on this system for 15 years and has watched their premiums increase by about 15% per year for 15 years, what was once affordable and then a stretch has now become a luxury item. And as a small business owner, every year I do my budget, and I know I have to carve out a more and more of a percentage of my revenues to cover my health care. That's not just the premiums, but the deductible, which is huge, and the things that it doesn't even cover. Even though the ACA is fairly comprehensive, there are things that it doesn't cover.
Yeah.
Such as dental and vision and other things of that nature.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unless you buy separate policies. So, in 2021 or 22, when coming out of COVID, Biden had passed, and the Congress passed the enhanced subsidies. That was the first time out of my 15 years that I was even able to be eligible for an enhanced subsidy. What that allowed, because what it did is it raised the income threshold.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
up to 4 times the poverty level.
Right.
Okay, so I was entitled to get, or I was eligible for a small subsidy.
Right.
And I took that in whatever year it was, a couple of years ago, and I took it last year. This year, or in 2025, when the Trump tax bill was passed in July, and had the elimination of those subsidies, we didn't know until November 15th what the rates were even going
Yeah,
to
because the
be.
insurance companies need time for their actuaries to
Right.
do all the math.
And then they knew that if those subsidies were going to go away, less people were going to be involved, which meant the prices had to go up even higher. Because who are the people that buy health insurance? Sick people.
Yeah.
Right? So by the time all of that was said and done, and I got to go on the website and figure out what my plans were, my premiums were up about 80%. Now, health insurance is one thing if you can afford it or barely afford it. It's even more useless if you pay for it and you can't afford to use it.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's where, so I think in Georgia, approximately 1.5 million people came off the rolls. And I think across the country, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 million people.
Yeah, I heard 11 million last fall.
That came off the. Now, these are not people that are getting health insurance elsewhere. These are people that are uninsured.
Yeah.
These are the people who, when they get hurt or sick or injured or need some sort of catastrophic medical care, are going to go to your public hospitals. They're going to run up a bill, and then they're not going to be able to pay it.
Who gets to pay it then?
Your taxpayers.
That's exactly right.
And
Oh my God.
when the Trump administration cut Medicaid to rural hospitals, there's now a difference between driving 20 minutes to your local hospital emergency room and now having to be life flighted to Grady.
Yeah.
From a rural county that's an hour away.
Yeah, for another $50,000.
For another $50,000. So the spiraling effect of these subsidies. Incidentally, it was calculated that the subsidies would have cost about $35 billion to replace. That's what the cost was.
Why is chump change in the
Well, it is chump change when you consider that we gave Argentina $40 billion.
Yeah.
We're spending $2 billion, $1 billion or $2 a day right now. So it was never a question of do we have the money. It was a question of do we have the priority.
Yeah. It really boils down to priorities.
It does. And healthcare is my number one platform that I'm running on.
And you know, we've mentioned a couple times on the podcast this concept of the social contract.
Yeah.
And that every citizen, everyone living in the United States, citizen or not, has a responsibility to understand what that social contract is and to be willing to pay into it, either through your effort or your money or your time. And we have a lot of people that just don't want to pay into it.
Well, I don't even know if it's so much that we have people that don't want to. We have people that can't. And I know, again, at this point in my life, and I'll just say that my premium is well over $1,000 a month for my coverage alone, plus a deductible that's close to $8,000 a year.
Right.
Okay. So, as a business owner, that comes right off my top.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I take in what I take in. I pay my tax.
Right.
Because I don't get a choice on that.
No.
And then the next big lop goes to
your healthcare,
and everything else is for everything else.
Yeah.
Utilities, rent, groceries, kids, gasoline, whatever it might be. And so the problem here is that we've created a system that is eating itself from inside. And
that's a really good description.
Now, we do have an alternative system that seems to be working quite well. And if you're over 65, you get to be part of that. It's called Medicare.
Right.
And shockingly, that's a social contract that I get to know anybody doesn't want to maintain.
Yeah.
And that's about as universal healthcare as you can get. I don't believe anybody cannot get Medicare. I believe the pricing is fairly consistent for your age.
Yeah.
And you can buy in and you can buy supplemental plans. It's not perfect or anything. And it's not 100% comprehensive, but you don't have to worry about dying on the street.
Exactly.
You have hospital and you have general coverage.
Which is why it was instituted by FDR in the first place.
Absolutely. So we have solutions here. We don't have a political will because we don't have priorities that are in alignment. And frankly, in this administration, if it came from a Democrat, they don't want to touch it.
No.
Which is why the Medicare enhancements were not taken in Georgia by the current governor.
That's been a thorn in my side for a long time.
You better not get a thorn in your side because I don't know if you're going to have a doctor nearby to take it out.
I pulled some really long cactus spines out of my side when I fell off my bike in California, but that's another story.
Yeah.
So, but that's been a thing here in Georgia that it was always, we can't have Obamacare, and expanding Medicare just sounds too much like Obamacare, and it was just so stupid because they disenfranchised a humongous number of Georgians by not expanding Medicare.
They also do that
when they had the opportunity.
A lot of those Georgians,
you
who they have disenfranchised and pulled this from, are still going to vote for them.
I know.
So they had nothing in the game to lose by doing that. Incidentally, we have a $15 billion surplus in the budget here in Georgia. It would have cost the state of Georgia about $1.5 billion, or 10% of that surplus, to cover all the Georgians that would have lost the enhanced subsidies.
And they're not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it. They didn't do it. I mean, it's March. The game is over. The circus is let down. I mean,
Brian Kemp's such a good guy.
Well, you know what?
He
probably wouldn't have signed it, but it was your legislature that didn't even bother.
That is true.
And
that is true.
And we could have spent $1.5 billion and made every Georgian whole until the federal government got its act together and came up. And to this day, we're talking here on March 9th or whatever it is.
It is.
And, we have a partial government shutdown over this issue to this day.
Just walked out today.
Absolutely.
And, shut down the government again.
Yeah. So, DHS is not being funded. TSA people aren't being paid because there's it's not hurting enough people yet.
Yeah.
And it's not hurting politicians.
It's not the money.
It's never the money.
It's not the money.
Oh, yeah, we got the money.
It's the votes.
Yeah.
It's the ones that don't want to vote.
And Johnson just shut down Congress today. Told them all to go home. Another vacation.
Let me throw one.
Apparently they have nothing to do.
Quick one in here, okay? I did this a long while ago. People have always complained about universal health care and talked about Canada. And I remember they talked about Canada. They had to wait. People had to wait for a little longer for some of their major things.
Yeah.
The number is that the total number that we spend on healthcare, total, everything, individuals, okay, Medicare, everything else. You take that total number, okay, and that's the same number per capita that Canada spends.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to go through all of what we just talked about in order to have healthcare.
Yeah.
Canada doesn't have to do that because they got universal health care.
Yeah.
But the total cost to that country per capita, per individual, okay, is the same as what we pay, one way or the other.
Well, and here's the other thing. Healthcare, managing healthcare is a burden on businesses. They shouldn't be in it.
Well,
I don't think employers should be involved in determining what healthcare packages their employees are going to get.
That's the thing. If we move to a single-payer system, and a plan like that, your healthcare is now not attached to your employer; it's attached to you. The amount of creativity, of new businesses, of advances and breakthroughs that would be unleashed on this country by people who could leave their jobs and start their own firms and companies and inventions, but can't because they have to keep their health coverage.
Yeah.
Yes.
We would see a revolution that we have never seen in this country in terms of entrepreneurship, job creation, and probably scientific and other breakthroughs.
Yeah.
Because there are people that just simply can't leave that job from 9 to 5 because of their health insurance, because we have an employer-based health insurance system and not a Medicare type of universal system that you buy. I don't understand how in 2026 this is still a concept that people can't get through their heads.
I know it, and it is a big burden on businesses to have to manage that.
Well, and then you have the other snake in the grass, which is you have the major healthcare companies. The top 10 took in $25 billion in profits last year. The top 5 maybe, but you have the healthcare insurance companies who manage and own the pharmacies.
Oh yeah,
and also own the pharmacy benefit managers.
Yep.
So you have this snake in the grass type of approach to this, where they're taking in they're charging themselves all the costs, and they're passing those on to the government for anything that's a government related, Medicare, Medicaid.
Exactly.
And they're the ones reaping all this benefit.
Yeah, they're all linked together.
Right. And so, I would like to see that disbanded. I would like to see this industry have more regulation in terms of oversight. These monopolistic industries, such as insurance and the pharmacies and other things, and pharmaceuticals, Well, yeah, and we just see that. I mean, the consolidation that keeps happening only enriches the stockholder, and it does nothing for the consumer, and the consumer has no choice.
That's exactly right.
I mean, I can't.
Well, it goes back. You brought up the stockholders. Well, okay. The argument I've been hearing a lot is, well, Trump's doing a great thing for the economy because the stock market's doing fantastic.
Well, stock.
Most Americans don't.
Well, yeah, and listen, I mean, I invest in the market. I'm happy to see returns.
Yeah.
But remember, every dollar that I earn I have to pay my taxes, I have to pay my health care, I have to pay for my rent, my mortgage, my food, my groceries, my pharmaceuticals, my all my things. And then whatever comes down at the bottom, if I've got anything left, I might put that in the market.
Right.
And then I have to also trust that we have a free market system, which we don't.
No, we don't.
Okay. And that people in Congress aren't trading on the things that they know about that I don't.
It's unfair from top to bottom.
It is.
A quick one. We should move over. Let you talk about something else, but there's a little bit of trivia. Do you know that up to 1975, that healthcare companies had to be nonprofit?
Yeah, I did.
That would be nice to see again.
1975. Yeah. And then Congress did some stupid thing, and that changed.
Well, it used to be a carrot that they would hold to get the best people.
I researched this. It was very interesting. Most health insurance companies were nonprofit. In fact, Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is a name that I always heard my parents talk about, right? Yeah. Blue Cross Blue Shield. I didn't realize Blue Cross was the hospital portion, right? And Blue Shield was your medical portion,
right?
So they were two separate companies. And what happened was and I won't get this 100% right, but it actually came out of a teachers union, or that they decided that the teachers in one state somewhere in the Midwest said, hey, we've got a bunch of people in our school district that are teachers. We'd like to go and buy health insurance as a group.
Yeah.
And
the first pool.
Yeah. And prior to that, you didn't have insurance like that.
Right.
And so a company was formed in order to create
facilitate that.
Well, in order to create a policy and facilitate that. And that was the very beginning of for-profit healthcare. And it probably was okay for a few years.
Probably.
But that was also, and anybody that's old enough to remembers when we had, 7 or 8 or 10 different airlines in this country. And we had 25 different hotel companies, and you had 10 different gas stations that you go to, and everything now is owned by 2 or 3 people.
Yeah. You had to talk about me, huh?
Even I remember that.
I mean, you're right. I remember when Ma Bell broke up, and everyone was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah.
But it's like that was a bell ringing in the lobbying in businesses that we got to have armies of lobbyists to make sure this doesn't happen to us.
Well, and then you have, now it's all convoluted and dark money.
Right.
How much time?
We're still good.
We're still good?
What time?
Kind of like Gary. Barry talk about something other than don't misunderstand.
So your third thing was
well, my 3 pillars, my 3 primary were the healthcare that we've talked extensively about, Social Security, and the insolvency issue that's going to happen because of the tax bill, where by not taxing Social Security income, that was a primary revenue stream to keep the fund going.
Right.
So it's this very simple solution to that, which is we have to take the cap off of the Social Security income level that needs to be taxed. And, if you don't know, it's taxed up to about $180,000 in salary. So everybody that makes over $180,000, once you hit that 180, you don't pay a tax on Social Security. Right. If we were able to collect taxes on people making $200, $400, $600, $800, $1 million a year, we would probably have enough, or 75 to 80%, to fix this insolvency problem.
Yeah.
And, I'm not, it sounds like tax, but you have to understand that the people that are paying the taxes aren't getting the benefits of the services.
Right.
And the people that are not paying the taxes don't need the services.
That's exactly right. And it's not only that. Was that ceiling adjusted for inflation?
No, of course not.
That's the other problem.
Right.
It has to be pegged to inflation.
And the third platform is housing. Right. Affordability of housing. And the average age of the first-time homeowner that now is 40 years old.
Right.
If you had told me when I graduated college at 22 that I would have to wait 18 years before buying a home, I would have said, what was that all for?
Right.
And my children are in their 20s and have graduated college in the last few years, trying to start off their lives. They're carrying student debt, they're carrying the cost of living today, and they're trying to get started. And they don't have a shot at it right now.
No,
And there are policies that we can be bringing back that will do that, and that's another focus I'm going to focus on.
Well, since we're talking about housing and affordability of housing, as a real estate agent, where are you with the institutional investors that are going around just sucking up housing in subdivisions? Like I live in Farmington subdivision right down the road, and there's houses in there that are basically going to be probably rentals for life, forever now.
What people have to understand is that there were institutional investors, big companies like BlackRock.
Right.
Okay. So after the pandemic happened, and even before that, but there were companies that went into cities, and there were about 10 cities. I remember Atlanta, one of them, Houston. I can't remember the rest of them off the top of my head. And went in with about $1 billion looking to buy blocks of houses. I'm not talking about 3 houses. I'm talking about 10,000 homes.
Right.
Now in Atlanta, at the peak, at the worst time when we were back at 2008-9, when we had the worst market in the last 25 years, we had approximately 80,000 homes on the market.
Right.
Okay. Now that's going back almost 15 years.
Right.
Maybe more. And Atlanta was a lot smaller city. Okay,
Yep.
we're a bigger city now with more housing. All right. In Atlanta, when you have a decent market, would be 50,000 homes available. When you take 10,000 of those homes out of the market,
that's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So I am definitely supportive of the fact that not only do we need to have restrictions and regulation on large companies buying huge blocks, but we need to have transparency and clarity. You can't find who owns these properties.
Yeah, they got them stuffed into 18 levels of LLCs.
Yes, because I go and show a house that's owned by one of these, and I look at the tax record, and it's ABC LLC sold to XYZ something and everything else.
It's a shell game.
Right, and of course, because they're investment properties, we don't get a lot of information on them. So
that's another thing.
That is something that needs to happen. Now, what we don't want to have happen is you don't want to dump 10,000 houses on the market.
No.
And what we really need to do is, one of my ideas is, statistically we know that the average family, the average person moves about every 7 to 9 years, 8 years on average.
Right.
So if you're an institutional company, you buy whatever the number of homes is that we allow you to buy, say 500.
Right.
We should tell you that you can hold them for 7 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Then you have the natural
the turnover
of churn.
Yeah.
What happens is if you take these homes, particularly in a good school district or a good zip code or a good area, and then you permanently remove them off the market, or you sell them internally and do other things that don't allow us to have a competitive situation.
Right.
Now you're impacting the market. But if they had to be sold every 7 or 8 years,
yeah.
I would have a little bit less of an issue with that. And we want to be careful that we don't shut down the entire investment market because it is an important component for small businesses and people. And I'm talking about people that might own up to 100 properties, and that's not a lot of individuals. Right. But that is a very lucrative way to build a business, and we don't want to shut that down.
So when you said, every 7 or 8 years they would be required to turn them over.
Yeah.
So how do you think that may affect, the community solvency? Like if you got a family, like I've lived in my house since 99.
Right.
So, we bought it.
Right.
We thought we would move in 5 years, that was common back then. But then we had kids and we renovated and we're like, I like this place. And so, if they got, say, 12 houses in my subdivision and all of a sudden they hit the wall of 12, 7 to 8 years, those people renting in those houses have built a home. They've built a life in that community.
That doesn't mean.
Well, maybe what happens to those families?
Well, first off, that doesn't mean that they can't buy them.
Right.
Okay, that's number one. It's like anybody who rents a home.
Right.
The owner has the right to say, I'm not going to renew your lease. I'm not going to rent it again.
That is true.
Okay. And if you know that you're renting from a company where the the timetable on this house is 4 years or 6
So
years.
that would need to be open.
Of course,
open
yeah.
up.
That's not the
Yeah.
plan for it.
You know, yeah, then that would be the situation. Now, I haven't written the policy, so
No, it's just something that popped into my head when you were talking
you know,
about it. So.
you're not doing this in a vacuum. People would be aware of it.
Right.
And the point here is to create an environment where those renters are now homeowners, because
Right.
we know that when people buy houses, they stay longer. They're more involved with their schools.
Yeah.
Their schools are better.
Right.
Okay. The families are part of the community. You
Yeah.
have crime goes down.
Yeah.
Right. It benefits everything when you have a highly transient population, people that move
Right.
constantly.
Right.
It just affects things, and that's not
Yeah,
people have to move for jobs.
yeah.
They have to move for
I've never heard that concept, but it makes sense.
No, that makes sense to
It
me
makes
too.
sense from the standpoint of,
So-
you spend 7 years in a house and you've done all those things that you just even talked about, Greg, okay? And you've made all your friends, all your community, you've been involved for 7 years. You're going to try your best
To stay, yeah.
If you know that house
And your
is going-
kids are locked into school and
If
they
you
have
know
their
it's-
friends. That was thing.
If you know the clock is
So-
running, you can also prepare for it, okay?
Yeah.
Job, situation, schools,
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
No, that's there's so much work we have to do to
Yeah.
make this society and economy more fair
Right.
for everybody.
So let me say
So-
this. I got into this race because I saw my future being affected and the future of my children being affected.
Yes.
And that's why I'm doing this. At this point in my life, I'm not looking to be a career politician.
Right.
In fact, I signed on to the term limits pledge that's
Yeah.
out there, U.S. term limits pledge, which says that if there's ever a vote for a constitutional amendment to put term limits on in the Constitution,
Right.
I agreed that I would sign on that amendment.
Right.
If I'm there, but it's 3 terms as a congressman and 2 terms as a senator,
Right.
which I think, and there's some pros and cons to that, but that generally people understand. We need to have churn. We need to bring
Oh, yeah.
blood. We need to get
Yeah,
rid
we
of
have the
career politicians.
gerontocracy right
Yes.
now up there in the Congress.
And so,
Every person I know and deal with on a daily basis all feel that way.
Yeah.
There's nobody I know.
No, there's nobody.
that said, "No, that doesn't make any
It's
sense."
like young people don't exist in the
Yeah.
congressional halls, and that's just there's too much talent out there. Not just young people,
Right.
but people who are interested in running and serving their country in that fashion.
They look
It's
at-
a club right
they
now,
look at
and
the ages
the
of
doors are generally closed.
They look at
So-
the ages of our legislators and the number of years they've been in there, and they say they can't know what's going on.
Well, the average
they
age-
haven't lived in a half dozen.
the average age of a senator is 63, I think, and the average age of a congressman is 59.
Yeah.
And so this kind of takes me towards my at least the next point, and why again I think for my campaign is you have to. I mean, we need a mix. There are some people there that are young, and you don't have to be 85 years old to have life experience, right?
That's right.
But you do need to have certain life experiences, I think, in order to be able to
Yes.
bring enough knowledge and wisdom and
Yes.
know how to work in a system like this.
That's right.
And so,
So you're not a fan of the kid that's 23 named Big Balls?
I'm not familiar with it.
He's the one running the cybersecurity wing right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the one that got beat up in the park.
Yeah. Now,
God.
you shook me with that.
Well, I am the comedian for the group, so
I mean, I guess the point though is
not a very good one.
is that we don't want to. We need to have a very wide variety of
Yes.
people with experiences from different industries. We don't need all lawyers. We don't need all people of one race or one religion or one creed. We need the diversity
We need
of
America. Yeah.
Right. We need a melting pot of people to bring
Exactly.
in different experiences, different voices, different opinions
Mhm.
that can come together in consensus.
Yep.
And that's what's missing.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's
that's
what
what's
I pledge to
broken.
do.
Yeah.
Because
That has to happen so
Yeah.
strongly, and I'm glad that you brought that up.
so,
So that's really important for our listeners to
what
hear.
else do you want to know?
That's it.
What is the average velocity of a winged sparrow?
African and European.
I don't know that.
Jeez, that's what you do. Blow that thing off.
Well, I normally do that. That's
Well, if I can say that, so I appreciate you guys having me here.
we appreciate you coming.
Thank
for
you.
sure.
The primary is May 19th. For people that want to know more about me, you can find it on my website at Barry Wilfert for Congress.com, or you can find me on Facebook, which has more ongoing stuff at Barry Wilfert for Congress, and that's on Facebook. You can just search for that. But anybody that wants to reach out to the campaign or support us, we appreciate it. I'm excited about this next 10 weeks running up to the primary.
Yeah.
I think we have a very good chance at flipping the seat.
Yep.
If we put the right candidate in place. And,
Yep. I agree with you.
I think
And God knows that Loudermilk,
our
his
candidates
seat
will
needs someone
always
very
always
different from
need
him.
help and support,
So,
and people get involved, and unfortunately, not enough. I'm sorry, I'm in it, and I don't see enough people involved in what's going on and working with, in one way or the other, for the community, but also for the supporting the candidates that they decide they want to support.
Yep.
Get out there and do something, and
Yep.
help them find out what they need. Do whatever you can.
yeah, if you're in his district and you want to help out, sign up to help him in whatever way you can. You don't have to go knocking on doors. You can just support the people that do. So,
thank you.
And final note is that we may miss a week or two. Some people are allowed to go away, visit friends and relatives. I won't go into the details, but you may not see something next week. We'll try to put something together maybe after the week.
yeah, I got to go see my mom in Williamsburg.
There
So,
you go.
family first.
Family first.
You mean I couldn't hurt you without telling you you were going to see your
Well,
mom?
Barry, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure meeting you and getting to know you. Sorry for the hiccup.
But we did it twice.
We did it. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I think the best thing.
I'll remember his name tomorrow because
That's
we
right.
did it twice. So,
If they go to BarryWolfert.com, it'll take them to my real estate site.
yes.
So,
Oh, there you go. Barry, I will put that in there.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
No, thank
bet.
you.
All right, everybody, take care. Be safe out there, and we will catch you next time in a couple of weeks.
All right.